Hello, Jordan.
What's up, Michael?
I had to unfollow you on Instagram.
That's not true, but okay.
Yeah, I did. I had to do it because you're an anti-vaxxer.
Where'd you see that?
I saw your post of this anti-vaxxer doing push-ups and decided, I left a comment, said you better educate yourself, and I said I'm unfollowing, and then I unfollowed.
Well, we can't win them all. I did get people saying that. I got a number of people, not a lot. It was actually, I was blown away by the overwhelming response. There were a few people who were upset, but he's not an anti-vaxxer anyway. But like, it's like, that's not accurate. They're painting him as one. We're talking about RFK Jr., by the way. He's if you actually listen to what he says, he's not anti-vax.
And by the way, it's June 29th when I feel like when we're talking about like relevant cultural moments. Oh, yeah. Because I think this is going to be a July 18th pod, I want to say. Maybe July 11th. I'm actually not sure.
The overwhelming response was people really enjoyed it on both sides of the political spectrum. There were a very minuscule number of people who were upset about it, and they made their voices heard, and they were like, gonna have to unfollow this POS. Da, 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 da. And as soon as I see that, I just block them. If they publicly say I have to unfollow this POS, I'm blocking you. Like, you're not getting back. Like, you're never getting this free content ever again, bro. So
quick with the block finger. You gotta be.
Oh yeah.
It's great to see a 69-year-old man out there lifting and trying to be healthy and obviously like exemplifying health.
He looks so good.
Well,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
What?
He does.
Well, what? He looks amazing.
Well, right, but the devil's advocate is like TRT at a minimum, which is great. He's 69.
But for me, it's like, that doesn't to me make it any less incredible how good he looks from like a physique standpoint, muscle standpoint, because a lot of people around his age are on TRT and they don't look or act physically anything like that. It is
true.
I think when people hear like, oh yeah, but he's on TRT, I'm like, and like that doesn't magically make you physically fit in any way, shape, or form. It can help with recovery. It can help with muscle growth and strength.
Hang on. But it does help.
It absolutely does. Yes, but not. People think that you just take it and then you look like that.
No,
you're out of your fucking mind.
Of course, you still have to put in the work.
Yeah,
100%.
An insane amount of work. It's he has blown me away with his level of fitness, and like it shows that he's kept up a certain level of fitness. Like it would have, I don't think that if he had just been lazy and not done anything his whole life and then started taking TRT, he would look the way he does now.
Correct.
Right? Like there's clearly
a base there.
A huge lifetime of staying physically fit and active that goes behind this that I think is super important to understand.
Yeah. It was a good content idea by you. It was a good seize the moment, green screen, push-up technique. I liked it.
Just did it again with The Rock with his recent Bulgarian split squats. Anytime I see a post on Instagram that when you gonna review
a natty, Jord?
Dude, when natties start posting their lifts on social media that people care about.
Okay.
Anytime I get see a post on social media that I know I want to comment on, I just DM it to myself, and I just have a huge running list of posts and DMs that like I have content for days. It's just been super helpful. But that was actually one of the people who were upset that I posted RFK. They were like, "You're promoting an anti-vaxxer. He's a dangerous man." And she was like, "You could have just done this video without using him." And I was like, "Well, no, I couldn't. Like, I could have discussed the technique, yeah, but in terms of like, so many people are watching this video just because he's on it. That's it. So in terms of actually helping people, I would have reached far fewer people if I didn't use this prime current event example. It's like, yeah.
Yep. What else is happening?
I had to unfollow you.
Why'd you unfollow me, Jordan? I was posting too much. I know.
Not enough. Not enough.
I was bombarding the feed, and you were just sick of it. I understand.
Yeah, it was just, I was going through and I was like, man, this guy hasn't posted in so many years. I was like, I gotta.
That's not true.
Clean it
1
up.
year. Just one. And who knows? I might be back with the vengeance. Who knows? You never know.
You never do know. You don't.
I might start enjoy posting.
What would you like to post about?
If I wanted to post about anything, I would have.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. But never say never.
What would it have to take for you to start posting? Would it just have to take you enjoying it all of a sudden?
I think I would just have to want to, or have, I would have to have some kind of either need or desire.
Do you ever have any inkling of desire to post?
No.
Like any teeny tiny inklings? No.
Not even remotely. I guess the closest to an inkling I'll ever get is if I see someone make a piece of content who I'm like, that was actually cool and original, and I could see myself making something like that, which is once in a blue moon. And yeah, respectfully to all the content creators out there. But
literally everybody listening. But, I mean, you posted for years. You posted and you built your business, and you don't need to post anymore.
I don't even need to I'm fine not falling back on that at all. Yes, that is what happened, but I just don't want to. And and if I have to, or if I want to at any point, cool. It ain't gonna be about The Rock though. That's for sure. Fake.
You don't like The Rock?
I don't like.
Oh, wait, does he say that he's natty?
He took the route of back when I was in high school, I did a little something, but I don't really know what it was. But
no way.
That was
he said that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah, the Hollywood actor chicken and broccoli life, like adding tons of muscle in short periods of time, or just being way past your genetic limit at certain ages and denying it. Especially really at any point in time, but especially at this point in time when you're monetizing your physique, when you wouldn't be getting these roles without, it's just, it's scummy. And you can be like, oh, well, everyone knows. All of us know. But in terms of the entire population, or in terms of someone like Dwayne Johnson's entire fan base, like him or anyone like him, no, they don't know.
No. I would say most people don't know. And I think the easiest way to understand that is when the Liver King was quote unquote exposed, you go into his comment section and the number of people who are like, man, you really let me down. I really believed you. I thought you.
And that guy wasn't on a little something. That guy was on all of the steroids. Yeah.
$15,000 a month worth of steroids. Just crazy. And I get a lot, even when I'm out at jiu-jitsu or something, my people I roll with be like, hey, do you think the Liver King is natural? And I'm like, are you serious? It's so if they think that he could potentially be natural, then obviously people would think the Rock would be natural as well. And if you're listen, I have nothing wrong with people who use it. I think it's an issue when you pretend to be it and you outright lie and say that you're not when you clearly are. That's Correct. The biggest issue.
Correct. And then the step further is monetizing.
Yeah.
And we have seen that a lot in the fitness industry over the years, which is basically buy my program and eat my meal plan and you'll look like me. By the way, don't ask me about my steroids. All right, whatever. What else do you want to talk about? I can't imagine that the bulk of our listeners care as much about this subject as I do.
Dude, I think they probably care just as much as you do.
I don't. Hang on, let me see what I got here. Oh, I got a show for you.
To watch?
Yeah. Oh, Suits? I told you about this. No, not Suits.
No, what?
It's new. Jury Duty.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me about that.
I
Got it.
told you about
Okay.
this. You didn't
Yeah.
check it out yet.
No,
Amazon
not
Prime.
yet.
You're gonna like it.
Okay. Is there a bunch of seasons or is it one season?
No, one season just came out. It's the
Okay.
most creative show perhaps that I've ever seen. Like the concept of the show is the most creative thing I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say because
It'll ruin the surprise.
Yeah, you'll just see when you start it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's 8
All
episodes, 8 episodes, 30 minutes each, one season. Like it goes like this.
Got it. Okay. I need to put that on my list. I have so many shows I need to watch. I've been watching a lot of stand-up comedy recently. But all right, I'll watch that one. Also, I've heard Suits is really good.
Yeah, Suits is a drama. This is comedy. You'll like this.
Oh, this is okay. All right, perfect.
Yeah, like you're thrown off by the name Jury Duty because you're like Jury Duty, Shawshank Redemption. Like this isn't good.
Prison.
It's Prison Break. It's comedy and it's awesome and the concept is genius.
Okay. All right. Okay. That'll be my next one that I watch. I'm almost done with this season of. I've also been watching the old seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. So when I'm done with this season, I'll watch that.
I have a question for you, Jordan.
Okay. What is it, Michael?
What are, we'll call it, some of the biggest lessons that you learned from Louie Simmons when you were interning at Westside Barbell?
Dude, that's a great question, especially for the people who say that they really like the fitness content. This is, man. Okay. Dude, this could take up 12 episodes.
Oh.
This could be a lot. So,
well, then maybe just pick one or two, or maybe we just riff on this. We'll see.
All right. So Louie, without going too much into his history, he somewhat recently passed away. The owner, creator of Westside Barbell, the strongest gym in the world. When I trained there, their weakest guy, aside from me, squatted 800 pounds. That was their chump lifter. He is the reason that we know so much about strength and conditioning now, because so much of what we know about strength and conditioning actually comes from Eastern Europe, specifically Russian weightlifters. Louie served overseas. And so much of they called these, like, the Russians dominated the weightlifting world for years and years and years. You look at the Olympics, the Russians, Bulgarians, they dominated, and they called them the Russian training secrets, and no one knew how they were getting so strong. And Louie literally took training books from Russia, brought them back to the United States, and paid someone to translate them, which is just wild.
That's cool.
And Louie is the reason that we now know so much about strength and conditioning, and why the United States is one of the leaders in strength and conditioning now, because of the groundwork that Louie paved the way with. And he created the Westside Barbell conjugate system. And there are many different styles of program design, right? There's linear periodization, there's undulating periodization, there's conjugated periodization, there's many different types. There's block periodization, there's all different types. And Louie saw so many faults in the other types of periodization, whether it was linear or undulating or whatever. He never thought they were bad. He actually thought linear was best for brand new trainees, which I completely agree with. Like, linear periodization is the best for someone who's brand new to strength training. But what Louie noticed was, whether it was block periodization or undulating periodization or any other type of periodization, as you went from intermediate to advanced, they had serious faults that were unreconcilable. And that's how he came up with the conjugate periodization approach, which essentially took the best of all of them and eliminated the worst of all of them to make this, like, ultimate periodization model, which is still the periodization model that I use with the Inner Circle. I use it with all my clients except for brand new beginners. So yeah, actually the first starting program in the Inner Circle, I call it the Unicorn Strong Challenge. That program is linear periodization, and then everything else switches more towards conjugated once people are done with that 12-week phase. So people start with linear and then progress to conjugate.
Do you have, off the top of your head, no worries if you don't, but an example of something that Louie didn't like about DUP or block periodization?
Yeah. So block periodization, for an example, is basically your training gets separated into blocks. That's where the name comes from. So you have a maximal strength block, you have a hypertrophy block, you have a power block, right? And each block, it depends, the length of that block depends on where you are in your training, where you are relative to maybe your competitive season. If you're an athlete, are you immediately post-competitive season? Are you immediately leading up to competitive season? Are you in the competitive season? The blocks will change based on where you are and what your goal is when you want to peak, all of that. But the major issue with block is it's very good at increasing whatever it is you're trying to increase in that one block. So if it's a power block, then you will get way more powerful as long as you're programming it correctly. You'll get more powerful, you get more explosive, quick, more agile, all of that. But because the entire block is focused just on power, you radically detrain everything else that you've done. You detrain your maximal strength. You detrain your hypertrophy. You detrain so many other strength qualities and characteristics. And so that was his major qualm with block. I've never used the word qualm in my life before that.
I think that was right.
Linear, Louie loved linear, and he did linear for many, many years. The issue is, if you spend a few minutes watching Louie talk, you'll see that he had some insane injuries throughout his lifting career. And this guy, he was out of his fucking mind. And I love Louie to death. He treated me like a son. There are stories where he would go to the gym, or he'd have to go to the hospital, get a knee surgery, or get something like something put in his neck. He'd have to get like a trach in his neck, and he would leave the hospital and he would just go bench press, or he'd go lift immediately while he still has the trach in his neck. Something like, it's wild, the stuff that he would do. So with linear periodization, Louie would the whole goal is to essentially try and increase strength and lift more as often as you possibly can. And when you have someone especially as crazy as Louie, they're going to be doing it way, way, way too much. But even if you don't have someone who's crazy, you need a certain amount of recovery. And linear, after the point of newbie gains, after the beginner stage, it can be very difficult to recover enough. And so you'll notice a large increase in injuries, burnout, fatigue. You'll see a huge increase in CNS fatigue. You'll see a huge increase in lack of desire to actually want to train. You'll notice a lot of twinges and pain and aches and injuries cropping up. So that was Louie's major issue with linear periodization. So essentially what he did is he created Conjugate, which the whole purpose is you have one main focus, but instead of detraining everything, you do just enough to maintain all of your other strength qualities while you really improve one at a time. So maybe this one focus is maximal strength, or this one focus is speed, or this one focus is hypertrophy, and that's your main focus for whatever this macro cycle is. But you still include the other things in relatively small amounts so you don't completely detrain them. I think it's one of the genius things about what Louie did is he realized you didn't need to do a lot in order to maintain. You didn't need to have a huge amount of volume, a huge amount of intensity in order to maintain strength, in order to maintain hypertrophy, in order to maintain speed. You just need a little bit. And as long as you include a little bit here and there, you'll at the very least maintain it so that when you come back to it in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you get right where you left off, as opposed to having to build back up from ground zero again.
I love it.
So that's Conjugate. There are aspects. There's like 3 main lifting methods within not just Conjugate, but within any lifting method. You have the maximal effort method, the dynamic effort method, and the repetition method. These are the 3 main methods that he describes. I think the dynamic effort method is what's missing from most modern strength programs, that most people don't include enough. But maximal effort is very basic. And now I'm going to transition from talking about the way Louie describes it to the way that I apply it with my clients and everyone. Louie, when he talks about maximal effort, he means lifting for a 1 rep max. That's not what I'm discussing. I'm talking about just maximal strength, which could really be between anywhere from 1 rep all the way up in my mind to like 6 to 8 reps realistically. I think that's a little bit on the higher end, but that's how I program it. Maximal effort method is making sure you're lifting very, very heavy, and you're including that within your training. It could be for bench press, it could be for deadlifts, it could be for lunges, it could be for chin-ups, it could be for rows, but anywhere in that like 1 to 8 repetition range of super, super heavy. The dynamic effort method is a method to improve your speed, your rate of force development, your power, your explosiveness. So these are things where you will lift lighter weights, but you'll do them more explosively and more rapidly. These are nowhere near very, very heavy, but they're enough to where you can feel it, but you really want to be able to focus on exploding and powering through and really improving your speed and acceleration. You could do box jumps as one example of that type of movement. You could do speed deadlifts. You could do sprinting. You could do clap push-ups if you want, which I'm actually not a big fan of clap push-ups. I can talk about why in a second. We could do medicine ball throws. There's so many types of exercises you can do. Kettlebell swings you can use for this, but it's generally lighter weight. It's also relatively low repetition, so more sets, fewer reps for speed. And there are many reasons for this, but if you're programming someone 3 sets of 12 for speed, by the time they get to rep 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, they're fatigued and you can't consistently produce a high amount of force with that high repetition rate. So rather than doing 3 sets of 12, I'd rather do 12 sets of 3. Right? So essentially you're keeping the same total amount of work, but you do 12 sets of 3 reps, and each of those 3 reps is as explosive as you possibly can. You take a sufficient rest, boom, then you go back into it. You do another set of 3. That way again, same total amount of work, but this way you get higher quality repetitions within those sets when the main goal is speed. And then
real quick, in terms of percentage of 1 rep max for that speed work, what range are you falling in? Because I assume you're not programming, like, even if you're not programming the exact percentage for inner circular clients, like, where do you want people?
Yeah, so it's a great question. It really does depend on the movement, right?
Is it 90%?
No. It's I would say if we're using the reason I'm saying it depends on the movement is because something like a box jump, you could just use your body weight, right? Whereas something like a deadlift, a speed deadlift, that's where anywhere between 50 to 75% 1 rep max at the highest. And generally the newer you are to it, the higher percentage you can go. The more advanced you get, the lower percentage you should use, because the more advanced you get and the more weight you lift, like if you can deadlift 800 pounds, and you're using 75% 1 rep max, that's a considerable amount of weight. What's 75% of 800? I don't know.
600.
600, cool. So that would mean you're using 600 pounds for your speed work. That's a lot of extra stress on your body. So if you can deadlift 800, I'd rather you use 400 because it's only 50% 1 rep max. It's far less stress on your tendons, muscle, ligaments, central nervous system, all of that. For someone who maybe can, quote unquote, only deadlift 400, I'd be more okay with them using between 60, 65, 70, maybe even 75% 1 rep max, because it's not nearly as stressful relatively. So generally somewhere between 50 to 75%, the more advanced you are, lower percentage, the less advanced you are, you could use a little bit higher percentage. But there are some movements, whether it's a speed push-up, medicine ball throw, or like a box jump where it's just body weight. You don't need to add any extra weight on for that. The last method is the repetition method, and I think everyone knows what this is. This is you just do higher repetitions with moderate weights. So generally anywhere between like 10 to 100 repetitions potentially depending on the set. Like you could do 100 repetition sets. Louie was a huge fan of this, especially for tendon and ligament strength, where he used to have me lie down on a like big foam pad and put like 10-pound ankle weights on me, and I would do 100 leg curls just with the ankle weights, just for the tendons. It's not necessarily, like, obviously the muscles get impacted, but it's more for the tendon and ligament strength. He would have me do sets of 300 band tricep press downs for my elbows. And ironically, that's when my elbows felt the best they ever felt, where I would just do like hundreds and hundreds of reps, never going to the point of like muscular failure, more just to flush my joints full of blood. And that really, really helped a lot. I never program this stuff for my everyday clients and inner circle members, but if I'm working with a higher level athlete, I definitely have these types of things included because it's actually really important. But the repetition method generally, I would say, is between 10 to 30 repetitions for moderate weight, and you could include this for hypertrophy work, which is really what it's most commonly used for, or endurance work as well. So those are the three methods: maximal effort, dynamic effort, and repetition.
Was there any takeaway in terms of, because the Westside Barbell was in the middle of nowhere, right? Like you almost couldn't
Columbus,
find
Ohio.
It unless you knew where, like, there's no sign
there's
on
no
the
sign
door.
on the door. Yeah.
You don't pay, right? Louie's fronting everything, but is very selective about who he's taken on in terms of lifters. Was there anything about like almost like secluding yourself from the outside world and the effect that environment has on your mindset, on your approach to training, really on your approach to anything, but specifically like lifting, being around those guys every single day and how that impacted you?
I almost got Westside Barbell tattooed on my chest. Dude, it was like a different world. Nothing mattered more than lifting. Nothing. And it wasn't just for me, it was for everyone. And Louie, he has the sweetest wife. She's still alive to this day. She's so sweet. She would always say, Louie told me as soon as we met, like, lifting comes first, I come second. And she would laugh. She's like, yeah. And like, she's just so sweet. And like, she just knew like Louie's like true love was lifting. And anyone who lifted there, like lifting came first. There were no holidays. Like Thanksgiving, if it was Monday, 8 a.m., max effort lower body. Wednesday, 8 a.m., max effort upper body. Friday, 8 a.m., dynamic effort lower body. Saturday, 8 a.m., dynamic effort upper body. And if one of those days fell on Christmas or Thanksgiving or a birthday, like it didn't matter. You were there every single day. And he didn't miss it. And often it would be multiple times a day. It would be 2 a days and he'd be there constantly, but it was at least that one session every single scheduled day. Like if you didn't show up, there was a big problem. Even if you were sick, you were supposed to show up and do what he called, not what he called, but the term is GPP, general physical preparedness. Like just maybe it's just walking around the industrial park, dragging a sled behind you. Like you do something, you always show up. Mm-hmm. So it's like its own world. I mean, dude, some of these guys, like they were so nice to me and they were incredible guys. These are scary fucking dudes. Like they've been in prison, many of them, or they're prison guards, or like dude, they're over 300 pounds, squatting well over 1,000 pounds, like scary dude. The cops wouldn't go anywhere near this area. It was a well-known, like this is a scary place where you don't want to go around. So my mom was scared shitless that I was going there. She was not happy. But you get really wrapped up in it, and almost like you get like mind warped. You get like I don't even know what the right word is. You get so wrapped up in what's going on here that literally nothing else in the outside world matters. The only reason I left is because Louie wanted me to leave. He said, I want you. Louie was tattooed head to toe. He'd spent time in prison, and he was like, listen, I'm never going to be able to speak at a university, even though every single strength and conditioning coach in the world knew who he was and looked up to him like he was a supreme being. There's no way he would ever be allowed to speak at a college campus, even though he was taking kids for free from the Ohio State football program, and they were coming to train with him, and the Ohio State football coaches were trying to funnel him students to like train with him. He would never be allowed on the college campus, and he knew that. And so he was like, I brought you here because I see a huge potential in you to teach people. So you're going to be here. You're going to train every day. You're going to train 11 times a week. You're going to take my certification, and then you're going to teach people the right way to train when you're done. And like, that was the deal. That's why he was like, you got to leave. Everyone else there, AJ Roberts, Brandon Lilly, everybody there was like, just drop out of school and stay here. And I was ready to drop out of school, get Westside tattooed on my chest. And dude, you would not believe how close I was to getting Westside Barbell tattooed on my chest. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wait, 11 workouts a week?
Yep. Yep. So
How did that work?
The main workouts that I just described, those are four. But what we would do is that was the main workout of like 4 times a week. But on the days where we had main workouts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, we actually had 2 workouts. So we did the main workout in the morning. Then we would come back in the afternoon at 4 p.m. for a GPP workout, general physical preparedness workout, whether it was sled drags or rope, like battle ropes, but we didn't use ropes. Louie had these huge, thick chain links that weighed a lot. And like, dude, Louie would be out there in the 100-degree heat holding on to these blistering hot chains for 30 minutes, just chink, 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 chink.
What a
chink,
legend.
Chink, just crazy. And we would, train your neck, train your arms, like do like a GPP workout in the afternoon. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, you have another GPP workout that you'd come in as well. So you're there 7 days a week. You're there 7 days a week, multiple times a day for the main workouts. And then on the off days, you have another workout as well. And it was actually really incredible because that's 11 workouts. 11 workouts in the week.
And what are you doing on those 3 off days? Are those
more
GPP
GPP stuff? Yeah, these are the days where, and it would depend on the goal, right? Let's say, for example, this is a good example of how you can incorporate Conjugate, or how we incorporated Conjugate into this approach. Is, let's say the main goal was maximal strength, like you're peaking for a competition, peaking for a powerlifting competition, and you go so hard during your maximal effort training that you are just so burned out, you don't have enough time to get your hypertrophy work in. Well, then you can go in during the GPP sessions and get your hypertrophy work in once you've had a day to recover, right? So you can get the extra work in, not necessarily during the main workout. Like if you just maxed out on an insane lift and you did a couple accessory exercises and you're burned out, cool, call it, come back the next day, and now you have your GPP session to get the rest of the work in.
Sounds like a real summer.
Yeah, I added 300 pounds to my total that summer, which is like between my squat, bench press, deadlift. It's just wild. It's one of those things where if you've never powerlifted, or really experimented with the big number. 3 lifts, it's crazy.
I heard that, I don't know where I heard this, if this was Louie saying it or someone saying it about him and the Conjugate method, but that he basically wouldn't design programs like a 4-week or a 6-week program for his lifters. Like, you don't know what you're doing 3 weeks from now. I mean, you might know the movement that you're doing, but you go in and it's like, okay, today, like the variety that we're adding is chains, or like today we're adding today it's slow eccentric on bench press, or correct. And everyone's for the most part doing the same thing. And when you show up, Louie tells you what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So everyone does the same main move. The main move. So like, let's say it's max effort bench press day, right? Everyone knows that the first thing you're going to do is max out on a bench press variation. You just never know which variation it's going to be. Is it going to be a board press variation? Is it going to be a chain variation? Is it going to be a board and chain variation? Is it going to be a verse band or reverse band? Is it going to be a floor press? You have no clue what variation it's going to be. You decide when you show up. And usually it's Louie saying, this is what you're going to do today. And then everyone does it. And it's really nice because you all work as a team. You spot each other. You load each other's plates, all that stuff. But then the accessory work, that's what's individualized. I see. And not everyone does the same program for that. That is like completely individual dependent. And that was one of those things where that was one of the most fun experiences for me, was learning about the individualization of accessory work, specifically in relation to an individual's weaknesses. So learning how to understand, okay, well, this person is very, very strong, but they're lacking explosive strength. So they're going to be focusing more on something more explosive right now. This person is very explosive, but doesn't have as much strength as they need. So we're going to go more towards max effort work. This person has tried for a long time to increase their bench press using dumbbell bench press, but that hasn't really worked in their accessory work. So we're going to start trying weighted dips, see if that has a carryover to their bench press. Like it's so individualized. So after the main move, everyone would go and do their own thing. And that was a really cool experience.
I would imagine on that first max effort move of the day, first, how many sets were you doing? Do you remember? Like how many working sets?
Of max effort?
Yeah.
So you just work up to one max effort set, and there is an exception to that. But it's like you just work up to one of the heaviest sets.
Like
the
difference, a 1RM.
Yeah, you work up to a true 1 rep max every max effort day. So 2 max effort days a week. The only caveat to that in Louie's gym was let's say it's like a bench press. And for me, like my bench press was my worst lift. And so I wasn't getting enough volume with heavy weights by only working up to a 1 rep max. So I would do 3 heavy singles or sometimes even like a 3x3 as opposed to just like a single lift. My squat and deadlift was fine. I got plenty of stimulus and working up to 1 rep max on those, but my bench press, I need a little bit more volume. And that is one of the bigger changes that I've made to my own conjugate model, to my own programming I need a little bit more volume for most people. So rather than working up to just a single 1 rep max, it's working up to 2 to 4 heavy sets of somewhere between like 4 to 8 reps. That's the initial max effort work.
I would also imagine that one of the benefits that all of you lifters saw from that variety, right? You're not just doing like a standard barbell bench press, whatever it is, Wednesdays as your max effort move for 16 or 20 straight weeks, because you have a different variation every week. You're seeing a downtick in injuries.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had 0 injuries that entire time, which is wild.
Which is crazy to people. Like you added 300 to your total and you didn't get hurt. Like
not once.
Insane.
No tweaks, no nothing. And I was training 11 times a week. And that was another really cool aspect is so much of the information we hear now is like, oh, you're overtraining. Oh, you're overtraining. Oh, you're overtraining. Very few people really know what overtraining actually is. It is incredibly difficult to overtrain. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like there are people who do. Usually the people who are truly overtraining are freak athletes who are training much more than you could ever fucking imagine. It is unbelievable. Most of like the Instagram posts now are it's like, oh yeah, you're overtraining because like you're doing like, you're doing a little bit too much cardio and like that's, you're doing a WOD every day and you're not overtraining. Maybe you're tired because you worked hard, but you're not overtraining. Oh my God, your HRV score is down. No, relax. Your HRV score is down for a number of reasons. Maybe it's because you had 2 bottles of wine last night, right? It's not because you're over fucking training because you did an extra 5 minutes of HIIT.
Yeah. And one way to think about it is a lot of people are probably under recovering, right? Like it's not that you're doing too much work. It's that you're not sleeping enough, that you're drinking every single night, so your sleep quality shit, your nutrition doesn't support what you're doing, so maybe you're trying to be in a deficit all the time on top of doing super high volume. But yeah, very few people are actually overtraining by definition.
Yeah, exactly. I think there are so many symptoms of potential overtraining, but it's sort of like one of those things where when people say like, they think they go into a deficit for 2 days and then they have a bad workout and they think they've lost muscle. It's like, no, you didn't lose. You've been in a deficit for less than 48 hours. Like you didn't lose any muscle yet. It's like sometimes workouts aren't going to feel as good. Same thing with training. People will be like, oh my God, I heard that a symptom of overtraining is being really tired and I've just been exhausted. It's like, yeah, well, you're also scrolling on TikTok until 3 a.m. And also just sometimes you get tired. Like that also happens. I think one of the most telltale signs of overtraining is number one is you're getting sick very easily. Like your immune system is down, getting sick way more often and having trouble recovering from sickness. I'm hesitant to say this one just because a lot of people will think that they have it. It's just like brain fog, fatigue. Like it's very real and it's different than I think a lot of people experience when they think that they've been overtrained. It's like when you're truly overtrained, it's pretty intense. It's very difficult to focus. And then also
from baseline, like if you generally have a hard time focusing and that's who you are.
Yeah. It's not like ADD like that. It's like a brain fog. It's very difficult. And the other one is severe delayed onset muscle soreness, where you just feel like you're never recovering. You just feel constantly sore. And again, that doesn't mean like, sometimes there's times where I'll be really sore from a lift 4 days after that lift. That doesn't mean I'm overtraining. It's pretty common. But if chronically for weeks and months on end, you just are never not sore, that could be a sign that you're overtraining.
Yeah. There's also just like physiological overtraining, which is much harder to do. And then there's psychological overtraining, we'll call it, whether or not it's a real term. But if you're someone who loves lifting and for whatever reason, like you just absolutely don't want to be in the gym, that's probably a sign to back off.
Yeah, that's
which is something I've seen with people who want to do more, love being in there, and then they like hit a day or 2 or 3 or 4 day stretch where they don't want to do anything physical. They don't want to go to the gym at all. It's like, cool. Let's take a week off. Let's take a little training break here. That's a real issue too.
That for me is, if, weather permitting and where you live, like I don't live anywhere near a beach. But if there was ever a time where like I just didn't want to go to the gym because I was overtraining, like psychologically, going to the beach and getting some sun, getting your feet in the sand and going in the water, I think is like the best I've found, like in any situation in which I've had that ability, is the best thing I can do. And since I don't have the ability now, I live in Dallas, Texas. There's no beach nearby. But like just going out and getting out in the sun or sitting by the pool or going in a hot tub, it's just like that regenerates me very quickly.
Absolutely. Although per my recent dermatology appointment, I'm not supposed to be in the sun ever.
So weird that they said that.
It was strange.
It's so funny because people I'm a personal trainer. Here's what I think. And personal trainers disagree on stuff all the time. Doctors disagree on stuff all the time. I've been going to dermatologists for years because I've had moles that they thought were cancerous. And so I go once or twice a year just to get checked. And my dermatologist is like, yeah, get out in the sun. Just make sure you use sunscreen. Like that, like they encourage me to get out in the sun.
So what's funny, I had never gone to a dermatologist my entire life. You put me on to dermatology in like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm still not entirely convinced, because I went there and the nurse was like, do you have any spots you want us to look at specifically? It's like, nah, nothing I've noticed. I'm just here for my annual checkup, my second annual checkup that I've ever done. She's like, oh, okay. And then when the doctor came in, she's like, do you have any spots you want me to look at? I was like, no, I don't think so. I just, I'm here for my annual checkup. And it like seemed weird to them. So I don't know if this is an actual normal thing for people to do once a year.
It's normal. I don't think people do it as much as they should. But because I know when I go in, just because I get new like moles and stuff popping up all the time, I'll be like, yeah, I got a new one here I want you to look at. I think it's just the people who tend to go also tend to have new spots. So, and people who don't have new spots crop up are probably like, why would I go? But it's actually a really good idea to go just so you can, it's one of the important things about going to a dermatologist is they get a baseline for what your spots currently look like. Because some of the issues with spots is if it's changing size, changing color, changing texture, that's when it can be an issue. So like, I don't like how they almost like put you off, and they should have been like, oh great, I love that you're here to get a baseline. That's what they should have done. I don't like a lot of what they did with you.
Well, and then she's like, yeah, you have some sun. Have you been outside recently? I was like, yeah, I played golf the other day. Like, I try and get a walk in every day, go outside. She's like, and I'm like, I always wear sunscreen because I do. She's like, yeah, should really cover up out there. I was like, yeah, like, what do you? She's like, yeah, pants, sleeves. And in my mind, I'm like, it's 93 in Minnesota and humid. I'm not wearing full winter clothes on the golf course. I was like, and then I'm playing dumb. I'm like, aren't there some benefits to, getting sun exposure? She's like, well, serotonin, like vitamin D, but you're fine. Your vitamin D is fine. You get enough from like the sun hitting your hands, you'll be fine. And I was like, yeah. First of all, what if my vitamin D is not fine? Because we didn't do any blood work. Second of all, it was a strange experience.
That's the worst experience I've heard of at a dermatologist. I've never had a dermatologist say any of those things. They encourage me to get outside. They're just like, yeah, make sure you're putting sunscreen on. And like, yeah, that, I don't know. I didn't like that at all.
Have you seen the hats that have like this long thing back over the neck? It's like a hat.
Yeah.
But she wanted me to buy one of those. I was like, I'm open to the idea, but my understanding of sun exposure was you don't want to get burnt. Like when you burn, when you get too much exposure, that's what's dangerous. And then like repeated burning over a lifetime increases chances of skin cancer. Like, I don't know. I'm going with my intuition and
you got to go to a new derm.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to a derm for a while. And when I do, it'll be a new derm.
Come to my derm. I have a great derm here in Dallas. She's awesome.
Okay, I'll try yours out next visit. All right, we're going to give a couple quick shout outs from people who left reviews recently. Spotify/Apple reviews. This is from Chris Fitness. Shout out Chris, who said, found this podcast in February after virtually watching Jordan at the Raise the Bar and was on a mission to listen to every episode at that point. Love the information that both Mike and Jordan provide. As an in-person trainer for 10 years and just starting to dabble in the online training world, I'm grateful to have come across them. When I was starting to look into guidance for my online business, the podcast is the reason I pulled the trigger on joining the mentorship. Great stuff, and keep it coming. Let's go, Chris.
That's awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. That means the world to us.
And then Pepper said, not a coach, learning a lot. I love listening to you guys banter, but also educate. I'm not a coach, maybe someday, but I learn a lot from you guys, understanding how you coach people and what it is to be a good/desired client as well. Oh, cool. And Pepper also says, funny banter and sarcasm is icing on the cake. Thank you very much.
Thank
Pepper
you.
And Chris for those 5-star reviews. We really appreciate it. Helps us get seen, get reach, grow the pod. Good episode. This was fun.
Yeah, that was very fun. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed the Westside Barbell ranting. Louie was like a father to me, so anytime I can pay homage to that guy, I would not be where I was without him. So thanks, Mike, for asking. Please leave a 5-star review. A written review would be amazing, just like Chris, and Pepper. And have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.
See you next week.